I didn't cut the window. That's a
Flashlight, I see.
Don't push the little button while it's looking at you. They're powerful.
Tammy's first, huh?
Tammy, are you ready? Becky, are you ready?
shouldn't ask us.
No, we don't.
Well,
don't matter.
you look ready. Joe, do you want to hit your microphone? Good morning, everyone. It is 9 a.m. I will call the meeting of the Lincoln County Commissioners for Tuesday, February 18th, 2025 to order. A couple of announcements. Lincoln County Board of Commissioners reserves the right to enter closed session at any time as necessary to discuss the agenda item currently before the board. Lincoln County Board of Commissioners reserves the right to take agenda items out of order for the convenience of parties involved. We will be following the Open Meeting Act, which is posted at the entrance to this room. Our first order of business is to open with prayer. Commissioner Weems.
Join me if you're so inclined. Heavenly Father, as we convene today, we are cognizant of the challenging weather. Be with our employee group, no matter where they are. Protect them and keep them safe on these slick roads. We also remember specifically and hold in our prayers Trooper McCasey, who lost his life dedicated to the service of the citizens of this state. Be with his family. We ask for some guidance today as we convene so that we can do the right things for our constituents as we move forward. Please be with our law enforcement and military here and abroad as they protect our many freedoms. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I failed to mention that at 9:15, we will recess as the Board of Commissioners and convene as the Board of Equalization, also following the Open Meeting Act. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes regarding the Lincoln County Board of Commissioner meeting held on February 10th, 2025. If you need a moment to look them over, if not, I would.
Chair, I would make the motion that we approve those minutes regarding the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners meeting held on February 10 of 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or corrections? Roll call, please.
Woodruff.
Aye.
Bruns.
Aye.
Hughley.
Aye.
Weems.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. Item number 3, we will consider the following claims and treasurer's receipts.
Would you my motion to approve the claims and treasurer receipts as they are presented?
Second.
Thank you. No.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
As usual, we reserve the right to pull any claim that, as we inspect, doesn't pass muster.
Agreed. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Weems.
Aye.
Hughley.
Aye.
Bruns.
Aye.
Woodruff.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye.
You don't want to see me without my morning kiss.
different brothers than what I was thinking. Doesn't really matter. It seems like quite a difference. I wonder if they're given a choice of a couple different ones they like.
Good question.
You know, like 3 different booths from about 27 up to 200. And just be able to select
What a variety of
ask sometime,
style.
yeah. I would think they'd have a uniform, you know, booth.
These are different styles. This one has a side zipper and this has a lace up, I guess. Must be the difference.
We've probably done that forever since I've been here. I just don't remember. May have been listed a different way or something.
And the price is consistent
Mm.
right here, $36.85. Oh, I think those are for service,
I'm not gonna argue with
service
that one.
identification
Yep.
versus this straight pewter one. Forget your winter coat?
Huh?
Forget your winter coat?
No, this is my winter coat.
That's it?
It doesn't look like it's cold. It's beautiful.
Jason's not even wearing a coat.
He took 2 off when he came in the room.
Oh, well.
Kidding, my stuff's on the ground. Makes all the dead stuff look good.
Hard to burn snow.
Yeah. Wind didn't blow as hard as that was.
$2.25 on it. But she put it in there, but somebody did put on a
7th.
sheet up here totaling it. I don't know.
that explains why this probably fell through the cracks, so.
Very good, thank you. Roll call, please.
Hughley,
Aye.
Bruns,
Aye.
Weems,
Aye.
Woodruff,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
We will adjourn as the Board of Equalization at 9:20 and reconvene as the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners. Our 9:20 item is discuss and consider request by Region 51 Emergency Management for siren repairs.
Good morning.
Good morning, Brandon.
Brandon Myers, Region 51 Emergency Management Director. Several months ago, the city brought in a company to do some checks on the entire siren system for the city, for the lake, and to include a control head that sounds all the sirens. It had been maintained at city shops for years, and just the last couple of years with the retirement, the control head ended up in the dispatch center. Not a lot of people knew how to work this thing, so they brought in a company that knows it, owns the machines. Explained, they ran some tests, found some problems with the control head, said, well, we probably should do a complete check on your whole system, so that includes all the sirens. We paid half of that bill. It was about $6,000 bill, so we paid about $3,000, which is what our MOU with the city's been long before I was hired, that we take and maintain half of the siren problems. Company came back, and you guys have the packet with all the problems they found on all the sirens. Most of it is radio control heads that activate the sirens. So basically, our half of that's gonna be $12,000–13,000. So because it's more than my pay grade of being able to just flat out authorize, that's why I'm here.
So this is the first time that it had been inspected by an outside service?
Since I've been here, yes. I don't know when the last time would have been. So this is equipment that is definitely well outdated anyways, that needed it. So having an independent company that does this professionally come in and check was a good call in the city, to find out what other problems there are, which they found quite a bit, so.
Well, considering that this is vital equipment to the safety of our county,
Yes,
and it's better to find problems before it breaks down and completely quits working.
Yes.
So,
and to be able to find this and get this done before severe weather starts rolling in is the best, so.
Before what rolls in?
more severe weather.
This isn't severe. This is a nuisance.
Yeah, this is winter weather in Nebraska.
Is there a plan to have more regularly scheduled inspections? of
Yes,
this
they're gonna
equipment?
have this company every year come out and do full thorough inspection, so that we can definitely keep up to date. Hopefully find problems as they arise and not have a huge bill, but maybe one or two things here and there every now and then.
Yeah, because to me, it's shocking that the system hasn't been maintained or inspected
Now,
in years. And did
The
the city
city-
have staff that was
the
trying
guys
to
of the
do
city
this?
that do this, they did a minimal amount of service, changing batteries, checking why, like if we had a siren fail when we do tests and stuff like that. But when it came to the radio control heads, not a lot of people, especially after Martin retired, had that knowledge of what to do. And just the knowledge that they'd been there for a very long time and hadn't been replaced, didn't get passed along, I guess. So this will hopefully stop this from happening again and have such a huge bill, a huge problem.
What's the lifespan of these radio heads and the equipment on these sirens?
Depends on what you get. Usually the radio heads, 10+ years. So that's, yeah, without any other problems, lightning strikes, things like that.
Well, I do think for our budget, doing it every year and having the repairs done as it go will better fit.
Yes.
This is a
Most definitely.
substantial bill. Do we have this worked into your
Yes, I
budget
do.
already?
I've already looked at it, and yes, I've already got money in there that we can afford to do this.
And what will our annual charge be again?
What's that?
And what will our annual charge be again?
From here on, then it'll be half of $6,000 for their annual inspection.
Well, that seems like a lot of money. I'm not very smart, and I agree we need to, I'm not arguing that. But it's something that had been done by the city in the past, right?
Yes.
But-
Part of that annual inspection is they come out and they go to each siren and check it thoroughly. So it's not just someone comes in, sits down for a couple minutes, goes, oh, yep, everything's good. I mean, they go to each siren and check everything.
Looks like there's
What-
9 sirens scattered.
15 in the city limit, 3 at the lake. So, I mean, that's just a,
So the
My
ones
question that I was gonna continue asking if I could was, in the past, if we've had a problem with a siren, I mean, everybody knows when a siren goes off in their area, right? If somebody else hears a siren, theirs isn't going off. I mean, we've been called right away.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they've let us know. So, I'm not trying to be a hard guy, but 3,000 to go up and check every siren every year when it, quote, hasn't been a problem in the past. That's what I'm asking.
well, no, we've had a lot of problems with sirens not sounding, and
I know, but are you saying that we're gonna be able to find that out ahead of time, you think? I don't know necessarily that would be the case, do you?
what it's gonna do is it's gonna prevent us from going years and years and all of a sudden having a $26,000 bill of, oh, your stuff hasn't been kept up, you've got all these problems.
Okay, so the sirens are still sounding, but our stuff hasn't been kept up, is that correct?
Our stuff hasn't been kept up, and actually, we've been having quite a bit more siren failures that they put temporary fixes on that don't last.
The city?
The city.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
From my standpoint, it's important for us to be looking at all components of the sirens. The communication aspect between dispatch and those sirens is the most important aspect. The siren may sound, but if it's not getting the signal to sound,
Yeah.
that's a major problem, and I don't want to wait until we have an actual emergency and a siren's not going off and there's potential loss of life. So anytime that you can do preventative maintenance, that's important. The question I would have is, because I don't recall this in the MOU, the actual language, I would want to really see a detail on what that plan, that preventative maintenance plan looks like. Because I do have concerns that $6,000, looking at the number of sirens that are out there, the majority of them are within city limits. Just that we're taking a close look at that. So if we're splitting this bill 50-50 and it's part of the MOU, I need to look at that language just for my own sake.
When is that contract renewed with the city, Brandon?
Well, them coming out every year, I'm not sure when, it'll be next year sometime probably before they come out again, so I don't know what they've signed up. I know, Chief Reeves with the police department was over at City Hall last week talking with Lane about making sure that we budget this, and have this done every year.
Is this part of the dispatch agreement, the MOU that we have with dispatch, or?
That I'm not exactly sure. I just know it's been one of those MOUs that we've had forever.
And
Because
that,
I just
And
simply
that's-
don't recall the specific language on our tornado sirens, our emergency sirens.
It's
being-
been more than 10 years. Because I've been in this position 10 years and it was in act before I was.
It'd
So
be a
that-
good time to take a look at it, see what it says, because if it doesn't say that, then, you know, for Chief Reeves to go over and tell Lane that we need to put it in our budget, and if it's not in, I think it's a good discussion item, that's all.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we should or shouldn't do it at all, I'm not
Agreed.
saying that.
And that was my question on the contract, our contract with the city, because I agree with Commissioner Bruns. I don't remember specifically having conversations about this, so I would like to know if it falls under our dispatch agreement or what. But I'm glad that they found the problems. I mean, it looks like it was everything from simple fuses to batteries not holding charges to some pretty major items that they found wrong, so.
Is this vendor unique to this? Is this
But-
the only vendor that's in the market to service?
That I don't know.
That's the other part of that equation.
I know the city would have done their, you know,
Yeah, I'm not.
their work
they're
on,
Typically pretty thorough, you know.
It'd be nice to know if they,
I would like, yeah,
who else?
when you're, in tandem, we're spending $26,000, so kinda like to know that they're competitive
yeah.
and, it's just a matter of knowing and acknowledging that research was done so that we can, in good conscience, spend $13,000. You know what I'm saying?
And then 3,000 annually.
Anyway,
Yeah, is this 20-some thousand, is that split between us and the,
Yes. So
They don't pay
it's
that.
25 something, so it'll be split in half.
I do think it is worth us reviewing our agreement with the city. And
Can we get that agreement scrounged up and emailed out at some point today or tomorrow to all of us to review?
Tammy, can you put in a request with the city office to share that with us?
Please and thank you.
Yeah.
So where would we like to go with the agenda item?
table?
Is that a motion?
I don't know that we need a motion for tabling this.
Do we need
For
a-
tabling it?
Robert's rules is not entirely legal, so if you would like to table it that way, I really don't care.
Okay,
That's
what kind of table?
It's fine.
I'd say table.
All right. We will table it until we get the agreement and have some conversation with the city.
Okay.
So,
Good thing is I don't know that we have a whole lot of risk for tornado dropping in Lincoln County anytime soon.
Hopefully, yes.
stranger weather events have happened.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brendan, while you're sitting there, I know it's not on the agenda, but would you give us a quick update on the train derailment and the crossing situation?
From what it looks like is the crossing is open. I haven't gotten official word that they've done all the work that they need to on that crossing. So, for now, it's open. They may close it to do some more repairs to it, but, all the derailed trains and grain is still sitting out there on the side, but all the lines are cleared up. And from what it looked like, they're still kind of on a slow train movement through there for the time being, so.
Brenda, did they ever find out what caused the derailment?
They have not given us an official cause of it yet.
That was gonna be my question, did we have a cause yet? Okay.
Very good. You probably had a long weekend and a short time in bed last night, so I appreciate you coming in.
Yep.
And this will most likely be back on the agenda. I don't know if it'll be next week, or we'll see what kind of communication we get with the city.
Okay.
Right here it is.
So we got a lot of these guardian ad items
Thanks, Brad.
that got separated somehow. Was there a big clip somewhere? Alligator clip?
Was there a
Are you talking on
I
that
don't
first
see
set of
one
attorney that
lying
came
around.
through? Was a small paper that might have, it's right here, I think maybe.
Oh,
It wasn't doing a very good job of holding them.
Here.
Better one.
This one
I had the
is
same
Slightly
problem.
better.
here, and that goes on top of this.
And I think there's one of them right there.
it's 9:35. Our next agenda item is discuss and consider the resolution number 2025-04 in support of legislative bill 37. Commissioner Bruns?
Yes, Madam Chair, so Brandon's update is kind of actually a nice segue into this topic. Tyler did a really good job of drafting up a resolution. It's very similar actually to a resolution that we had done, I believe 2 years ago, when Senator Walls had introduced a rail safety bill alongside Senator Jacobson's two-person crew. We passed resolutions for both of those. Senator Jacobson introduced LB 37 this legislative session, which is, in my opinion, something that our state needs, our local community needs, given the long and rich history with the railroad that we have and the large number of railroad employees that are our constituents and people that we serve. So railroad safety is paramount for our community. We've seen a lot of, in this region, a lot of derailments in recent past. We've had issues out at Bailey Yard. Oftentimes, there's incidents that go unreported because they don't hit a certain threshold for damage. But nonetheless, they're happening. And it wasn't that long ago where we had the rail car explosion that we ended up having to evacuate a number of residents here in Lincoln County as well, that Commissioner Hughley and I worked on, doing some investigation and making some recommendations. I will note that the Union Pacific has taken steps to address and work toward a positive solution with a lot of the recommendations that this board has made in that, but there's a lot of work that can be done, and I think that Senator Jacobson's legislative bill 37 will aid in that process. It does provide a little bit more teeth, in my opinion, for railroads across the state to comply with what he's requesting and really improve transportation in Nebraska when it comes to rail service. That said, I think everybody got a copy of the resolution in their packets. I think it's well crafted. It gets the point across that we do support it. We support the technology advancements, technology that's already in existence today, just making sure that it's being utilized, not turned off, which happens from time to time when it comes to wheel bearings. That if there's issues with any rolling stock cars that are on rail, that they're addressed immediately and not allowed to continue down the line. It allows for greater training and more transparency as well, particularly with first responders. So it would be my motion that we, as the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners, approve Resolution 2025-4, that we also present this to the legislature in the upcoming hearing, I believe is scheduled tentatively for March 10th, and that we have a representative go down there and do that testimony on behalf of Lincoln County.
Second.
Very good, thank you. Tyler, thank you for the work that you did on this. It's covers all of the big items that the bill addresses. So I did have a conversation with Senator Jacobson yesterday and made him aware that this was going to be on our agenda, and he expressed appreciation for the support. Is there any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Bruns,
Aye.
Woodruff.
Aye.
Hughley. Weems.
Aye.
Wheeler.
Aye. Commissioner Bruns, while we're signing it, remind us before it gets to that date, you're on the legislative committee, and if you're willing to go down and testify.
I will absolutely do that. I am willing, but I'll keep everybody apprised.
Very good.
Becky, I'll need appropriate numbers of copies for the committee on the 10th.
Very good. We will now move on to the report on the EECBG voucher program that we've been participating in. Tammy, you're on our committee if you'd like to join Booker at the table.
Booker
None.
Boyer, Booker Boyer Building and Grounds.
Tammy White.
Good morning.
Good
Gentlemen
morning.
Commissioners.
Morning.
Chair. Past few months, well, past 8 months or better, we've been working on the EECBG voucher program, several different projects. I'll name off a few of them. Spray foam insulated roads shop, emergency management building lighting, emergency management building blow-in insulation, emergency management building lighting again, and then mini split in the emergency management building, wiring and emergency management building mini split, roads mini splits, mini split and wiring. So we have used everything, all the voucher money. Now it's to move on to the next step, is turning it in. And this is where your secretary will handle it.
So the grant was for $76,200, and of course we spent $81,047. We'll submit for the full $76,200. Been waiting on checks to clear, and we have to submit all those, cancel those checks that have cleared. We'll submit it all in one request. I'm told there could be a pause in receiving that monies, but we'll get it all submitted and get the request sent, so.
This was about 2 years ago, we found out that we were pre-approved for this voucher
Correct.
through this program. And I know that you spearheaded that. Refresh my memory, this is federal?
This is federal, coming from the Department of Energy. They did a program where, based on population, I believe, they had pre-approved amounts. Lincoln County qualified for the $76,200, and the guidelines were that the money was to be used to improve energy efficiency in county buildings. So you could do new projects, like with the emergency management building, it paid for a good part of the lighting, the blow-in insulation, and the ceiling that wasn't included in the insulation package, the mini split. And then we also did projects in old existing buildings. Some of the projects were things that needed repaired or replaced anyway. So it worked right into that program. I personally would like to give a shout out to our partners over at the city office, Judy Clark and Kevin Krieger. Kevin has been very helpful in
Yes,
helping.
I'm very thankful for them.
That man's way smarter than me, he intimidates the
Very
heck out of
thankful
me.
for them, yes.
You know, as far as grants go, the voucher program was probably one of the easiest ones to participate in. And it still was a lot of information and overwhelming. they have made some adjustments and extended the deadlines, I think once, if not twice. But Booker, thank you for your work and taking care of, you're the boots on the ground out there that's been, recommending what work was done and managing it while it was taking place. So I'm glad that this is nearing the end, and we'll see how it goes with filing for the reimbursement.
That's the only question I have is, since this is federal funds, do we anticipate any holdup in being compensated?
Judy, would you like to come up and speak to that?
You can take this. No, it's fine. So just working with a lot of grants.
Judy, if you would just announce yourself and sign in.
Judy Clark, Planning Administrator for the county. Working with a lot of federal and state grants. The city just submitted one that's very similar to this, that was actually federal funding going to the state. They have not rejected it, but they did say that there was going to be a delay in getting it out. That could happen here, and I was gonna tell Tammy, the first time you submit, don't be surprised if you get a rejection, because they are very, very picky with every little detail that they want before they say, yes, here's your money. So I expect there'll probably be a delay, but that's just how it's kind of been happening with us,
So have all of our I's dotted and our T's crossed, eh?
Yep, and then they'll still reject it and you'll have to do it again.
That's good to know ahead of time rather than us try to submit and panic over
Yeah,
it, so.
If you get a rejection, Kevin has done one that he's been working with the feds for the last, probably 6 months, and he's on submittal number, 10 maybe at this point, where they bring it back and say, nope, we want this I dotted
moved over here.
Yeah, moved
Yeah.
over here, things like that, so don't be surprised, but we'll get it eventually.
But all of these expenses have been paid correctly, correct?
As far
Yes.
as I understand.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, sounds good.
So we, just from my understanding, we've been waiting for payments to be
clear.
made, clear, all that work to be actually completed, collecting all the information up, and then we submit all together as one.
Yep.
Is there anything after that that needs to happen?
Wait for a rejection, maybe it sounds like. And then I'll resubmit it all again. Or I'll fix what I did wrong and resubmit it again.
You know, the webinars and the Zoom calls that I participated in, one of their talking points was with the voucher program pre-approved was to make it more user-friendly. But I think we all know whenever you're dealing with, federal funding, there's a lot of hoops to jump through.
Well, it might not be as many now, it might not be anybody that,
You might be right. They might be trimming some of that. So, but I sure appreciate all of your guys' time and effort. We got a lot of meaningful projects done using this program. Like I said, work that was going to be done anyway, so, we'll anxiously await to hear back from you, Tammy, when you make the submission on how that goes. So, but thanks for the update. It was a necessary part of the process, and we're ready to move on to wrapping things up. Booker, do you have something else?
Yes. Travelers Insurance, James Wadka emailed me. He just wanted to give us the update on the claim on the Sallyport door. He spoke with a consultant advised and spoke with the vendor completing the pricing validation. As soon as he has the report, he'll settle the claim. So it's moving forward and everything's looking good. So hopefully here by next week we'll have that buttoned down.
The door is still on order, though?
Yes, yes. This is with Travelers on getting ours reimbursed.
Okay, good to know. Thanks for the update.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Our final agenda item, the presentation by Pinpoint Communications. They emailed me this morning, and due to the weather, they are not traveling into North Platte today, so they asked to be moved to the next agenda. next week's meeting. So. With that, do we have any elected official reports or concerns? Any appointed officials, reports or concerns? Jason, you got nothing? You kind of got your hands full at the road department this morning, so I appreciate that. Tyler, do we have a need for a closed session?
I don't.
Very good. Good morning.
Good morning.
Are you just here to visit, or is there
Well,
something you'd like to come up and address with us,
Well,
Kirk?
I'd like to address it. I have a question.
Okay, come on up and sign in and announce yourself.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Uh,
And you are?
My name is Kirk Olson, Kirkolson.
Good morning.
Good morning. As you're all aware of, we have an Encore meeting coming up very soon, tomorrow at 10 o'clock. My concern, has always been my concern, is that the property right there, I don't think should be owned by a NRD. And I think it should be, the surface right should be sold to a private individual. And that was always my concern about Encore. And then the mission statement of an NRD, I'm not sure it's a solar farm. So if that meets their mission statement, you know, I'm all in support of it. But if it's not their mission statement, I'm against the project. Only for the NRD. So if it was sold to a private owner, hey, so be it. So anyway, wanted to make a statement on that. And then taxation on the property before it was sold to an NRD, and so then the NRD keeps the surface rate, sells the water to Kansas, as we lost the lawsuit, no problem with that. But the taxation, we still use the land, we still use the water, and it's taxed at dry land rate. So now it's approximately, I think you had the figure the other day, Jerry. It was like $100 and some thousand, $140,000.
146, if I remember right.
So that's about 10% of the real taxation rate before we dried it up. Or we just changed the way we worded, the way we used the water. So we still use the water. So if we go to a solar farm, I hope we can get the taxation rate back up to that irrigated rate.
What, I have a question.
You bet.
Solar farm, so how are they gonna put on a solar farm?
They have a meeting tomorrow, and on their agenda is discuss and considering essentially allowing a solar farm to be built.
They can't allow a solar farm, we have planning and zoning.
That would be the crux that I have with the entire agenda item.
I mean, they can, I would think, I'm not on there, I don't know the law, but I would think.
We, not only do we have planning and zoning, we have a moratorium on large
Not
scale
only would I
solar.
think with our moratorium that we have, but we have planning and zoning that, isn't that zoned ag?
It is zoned ag. I did verify that.
Okay, and it's not
Commissioner.
gonna change, is it?
It will if we have this project. Has to change.
Judy, would you come up, because a lot of these have to do with you.
Good morning.
Judy Clark, Planning and Zoning for Lincoln County. Actually, I just heard about this project last week, so I know nothing about this project at all. I'm gonna plan on attending the NRD meeting tomorrow, so I can get some information at least. But no, right now, you guys are all correct. We do have a moratorium on issuing any permits for solar farms, wind generation, any alternative energy of any type right now. So I think our moratorium ends in April, and at that point, we have to decide what we're gonna do as far as our zoning regulations. Right now, well, once the moratorium is lifted, if we go back to our regulations that we currently have in there, it would require a conditional use permit application to be submitted to the Planning Commission. Planning Commission would then have to hold a public hearing in order to see if they wanted to allow this. There's a lot of things that go into an application for a solar farm. They're gonna have to talk about soil conditions, they're gonna have to tell us what they're doing, how they're doing it, what these things are gonna look like, all that kind of jazz. Public hearing would be public notice open to the public to come and talk about it. And then again, conditional uses are finally approved by this board, so it would have to come in front of you. Very, very, very few entities are exempt from planning and zoning. The railroad is one of those, and that's pretty much it.
So maybe a public
A
utility.
public utility like
Because-
NPPD maybe, yeah, yeah. If they have the right to eminent domain, then they more than likely are exempt on their owned property. It's even like the railroad, if they are leasing it to somebody else, the leaseholder actually has to comply with planning and zoning regulations, so.
Is it standard practice, Judy, for a project like this to reach this point without any conversation with the county planning and zoning or any permits being applied for?
That wouldn't be the way that I would do it if I were moving forward, because if you don't get planning and zoning approval, where you at?
Right.
But a lot of these individuals, like a wind farm, for example, they secure leases before they even apply. And a lot of times they secure leases on properties before they even notify the county that they're doing anything. There is a lawsuit, and I don't know, maybe Tyler knows, up in, is it Knox County?
Knox County.
That they're going through right now. A little bit different, they did some different things, but hopefully that comes down, because I don't know if leasing the property is going to have any bearing on the lawsuit if they lease it before they ever get a permit. But I know that they're trying to prove that they've sunk a lot of money in prior to getting anything done,
Our
but.
question, if I may, back on, you were talking about certain entities had eminent domain. Does the entity we know as an N Corp, does it fit into that category?
That's an attorney question, I don't think so, but
I don't believe an NRD does, and I can't imagine that a joint public venture, which is actually what N-Corp is, it's not an NRD.
Exactly.
Joint public,
It's a joint public venture. It's no different than if Lincoln County and Dawson County and Lexington and North Platte all entered into an interlocal agreement for something. That does not convey more power to them, and I don't believe that would have eminent domain, so.
okay.
In the county board chair meeting last Friday in Kearney, Dave Patak and Chad Nabity did a section, and one of the questions was about who has the right to exercise eminent domain. And they specifically talked, not about N-Corp or this project, because I was unaware of it at that time, but about the only way, it has to be a public utility that is building the project. Even if it's, so on their land, it doesn't sound like that would qualify. But I do plan on going to the meeting, Mr. Olson, and to listen and learn. And I admit, I was kind of surprised this was brought to my attention casually in a meeting that Commissioner Bruns and I happened to be in. And it went from that to a flurry of phone calls to, I went and looked at the agenda for the N-Corp meeting tomorrow, 10 a.m. at the college North Campus. I doubt if that room's going to be big enough to house everybody that plans on being there. But it discusses grazing is one of the agenda items.
What is grazing?
They're going to have a presentation from a gentleman about grazing on the N-Corp property.
On
And-
solar farm.
On solar fields.
Do I understand that right?
Yes.
Okay.
A lease agreement is with Meadowlark is on the agenda, listed that way, and then a final vote. And so I don't know what that means really, but
And Meadowlark is who?
Meadowlark is the fertilizer plant that has been proposed to be built in Dawson County.
And Meadowlark being built in Dawson County has what relationship to this project?
I am uncertain.
A need for electricity.
Green.
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 It's my understanding, and I'm not sure if this is accurate information, but for the Meadowlark project to move forward, the power generated to run it needs to be new green energy.
That's the way I understand it.
Yes. So,
Now, my little bit of understanding, I don't understand it either, but the little bits and pieces that I've picked up from time to time is that, yes, you're correct. Yes, it did go to Dawson County. Yes, it's been stalled for a while. The reason it's been stalled, not enough power, right? Well, that and not enough power. I think not enough power probably even more than the other one, but so let's say we get new green power. Do we think that we are going to have enough? These are technical questions. I need to ask out there. Thank you.
yeah. So,
I have one more item.
very good.
Okay, back to the item of taxation. So when Encore took it over and we reduced the taxation, but increased the occupancy tax, I would hope that Lincoln County gets their tax back. And I hope that it also relieves, so number one, Lincoln County gets their tax back first. Number one, then it relieves occupation tax.
If the solar farm is built, that's where
If
you're.
the solar farm is built.
Yes.
Number one, Lincoln County. Lincoln County stood the whole burden of the project.
You're darn right.
Yes.
And so we need to be compensated first, Lincoln County.
Well, you mean the upper NRD didn't take care of all that?
That's a loaded question, by the way.
Remember, Kurt,
Can I say
you
off
came
public
to
record
us.
for that one?
Well, this is a while back. I'm not remembering it real clear, but I know
Yeah.
they had a lot of leadership at the meetings.
They sure did, absolutely.
For me personally, one of the remarks that has been made is there's a lot of political firepower supporting this project, but unfortunately for NCORP, they didn't include Lincoln County
firepower
in the
just-
conversation at all, and I think that's really unfortunate.
It really is.
That, we should have been invited to the table long ago, because this didn't just happen overnight.
It did not. You're exactly right.
Yes.
Yep, and like you say, a lot of political firepower, and we stood the burden and didn't get a chance to vote. And that vote is our taxpayer right, and we should have had that.
Is this, and Kirk, in your position, you may know this, potential electricity generated from a potential hypothetical solar farm, does that go to NPPD or Dawson Public Power?
So where does the power go?
Because there has to be an agreement, doesn't there?
There should have to be an agreement, yes. We haven't gotten that far on a board that I sit on, and so, no, I don't know that answer.
Who has the power line just about 1.5 miles north of this property we're talking about?
Nebraska Public Power.
Okay, sounds right.
Very good. Any other questions or remarks?
No.
Very good.
Yes,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much for taking it.
You
You're
bet.
welcome.
Can I steal your pen? Tom?
Judy, thank you for your
Yeah, no problem.
input.
Thanks, Judy.
That takes us to committee reports, if we have anybody.
Well, I do have, yeah. And I just thought I'd bring the board up to speed on what we had done. I'm going to mention a group by the name of Lone Star Road Group, since we don't have any other technical name for them. Thank you, sir.
You might want to stick around.
As we've reported previously, Road Committee has met with not only representatives from NCORP, and we had a on-site visit, but we've met with, pardon my description of the Lone Star Road Group, until we come up with a better name, that's what I'm calling that group. And we had a meeting with them here a few weeks ago, and they posed some questions. There were some very good technical questions, and we were very fortunate that Deputy County Attorney Tyler Volkmer answered those questions, I thought, very, very well, and thank you again for your expertise, sir. But I think it's not anything new, the mentioning of extending Lone Star Road had some very positive aspects for the landowners in that area and residents of southwest Lincoln County. There's no doubt about that. And maybe there's some benefit for future development, which is circulating in the air somewhat. But as Tyler has made me aware, the county can put in new roads on a section line. There are maybe some variances that can occur there, and I won't go into all of those because I don't understand all of them. But there are a couple of options for this road, potential road. Let's put it, let me make sure I state that, potential road. One is for Lone Star to be extended straight west from Highway 83, clear over to Hershey Dickens Road. Straight shot, no curves or corners, makes some sense. One property owning entity. But the downside of that is that slices a significant portion of that N-Corp ground, more or less right down the middle.
Do you say the downfall is? Downfall to who?
I didn't say
Oh, I'm
down.
sorry.
I said one of the aspects.
Oh, aspects, I'm sorry. My bad.
If I owned the property and you want to do it down the middle of me, that would be a downfall to me.
Absolutely, got you.
I'll put it that way. That's an option that's been presented, and makes some sense, like I've noted. On our inspection, when we went out there for an on-site inspection, 1 mile north of that proposed area is another option. There are some positives to that as far as avoiding relocating some of the water vent lines that are currently on that section line where if you went straight east and west on Lone Star, that would have to be taken care of. And if we did that, if I understand correctly from Tyler, the payment for the damages to N-Corp would come from Lincoln County, which might make it a little more expensive. Do I have that right? Okay, so, and another advantage of being up on that area, if we ever did want to down the future extend Miller School Road south, about a mile and a touch more, you could connect it with Lone Star, and that would be another avenue for access in that area. The one aspect that probably causes the most heartburn for most people, and that would be the cost of this project. There'd be need for an engineering study before we could ever come up with a cost. I could give you an estimate today, and it would be a guess. A year from now, 5 years from now, it wouldn't even be close, probably. Does that money come out of the road department budget? Do our county crews build the road, or do we put it out for bids? Is there a bond issue, special assessment, or some grant funding? As you see, I got more questions than I got answers here. The one thing that I think I have to take into account, and probably because I sat in on a initial discussion on what we're going to see in the 1 and 6 year road plan, there's a lot of miles of roads in Lincoln County that need some attention. One of them being Hershey Dickens Road itself. That road is way too narrow, needs resurfaced. It's got a correction line road that I never enjoyed driving on when I was trailering cattle to pasture down in that country. And with a business entity down there, turning lane might not be a bad idea like there is on Highway 83 south here by another business entity that has a lot of traffic in and out. So that's kind of where I am on what I have discovered, and what we have come up with is some of the questions and the things we need to think about And I just wanted to bring the board up to speed on where we are on this particular project. I'm not saying that we need to put in a road. I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm saying there are some advantages to having a road there. We gotta figure out, if we have a road, where does it go? And how do we cover the finances?
Couple questions that I have. Section line, Tyler, probably a question for you. Section lines are already dedicated county roads, even if there's not a traversable path established, correct?
Correct.
And does that include the adequate right-of-way?
That would be 66 feet from the center line of the section line, 33 feet on either side.
So if something's built by, say there's no traversable path on the county road, because the section line is a county road by definition, the property owner builds something, it's the county's responsibility to pay for that to be moved, or the property owner?
The property owner is entitled to damages.
Okay,
That's what the statute says. I have interpreted that to be if they have a wellhead or fence and it's on that section line, the county does not need to do eminent domain. We avoid that step,
Okay.
but it is the county's responsibility to pay for the damages to that owner's property that's on that section line or within the right of way.
now I have an understanding, last question, and
Go
Joe,
ahead.
go ahead.
Please.
Last question I have with regard to special assessment, can you highlight what that entails as far as funding a road project?
There are some situations where special assessment can be done. I don't know that this is one of them where the county can put it down. There are some legal ways that special assessments can be put on landowners who benefit from and border that proposed road. Those would be done primarily through either a rural road improvement district or a special improvement district. I don't know that the county necessarily has the ability to just tack on a special assessment on a road that already technically exists. We just haven't plowed it in yet.
Okay.
I think you started to answer my question. I was gonna ask about a special road district. That's what I mean, I was just gonna, can you tell us what that is? And, you know, I can only think of one other time we've talked about that in the past, but that was a long time ago. So could you tell me about that?
Yes. There's a few different ways to get a road built in a county. Obviously, the county board can decide that they want to put a road in whenever you want. The other two primary avenues for doing that are either a rural road improvement district, which is a group of taxpayers in the county in an area coming to the board, asking the board to basically improve roads in a defined district, a district that the taxpayers define. And at that point, it creates a sort of chain reaction of things, puts it in front of the board to either make the improvements or not. In this case, the improvement would be plowing in a road down a section line. That mechanism leaves more power and discretion with this board about how it gets done and when it gets done. A special improvement district is a little bit different. The primary difference would be you still get a group of taxpayers from an area, and they put together what they want done, and they essentially tell the board, this is what we want to do, and the way the statute reads, the board shall put it to a vote of the legal voters in the defined district, as defined by the taxpayers. And so at that point, it's a very, very special little election. Sorry, Becky. You're probably talking, obviously it depends on how big of an area is defined by the taxpayers in their petition. But I can't imagine you're looking at more than 40, 50 legal voters. The legal voters then decide whether or not they want to do this, what improvements they want to make, where they want to make them, how they're going to get done. If the majority of the legal voters in this little defined area decide they want to do this, then at that point, the special improvement district gets its own board of trustees. They have their own people that run it. They get the authority to bond. They can hire outside contractors. They can put special assessments on property owners who border or otherwise benefit from the road. and that is out of the county board's hands. They are effectively their own little standalone entity for the little road district that they create.
And what is defining, you said within that district, what defines that
The
district?
taxpayers themselves that apply to this board to have it put to a vote.
So the taxpayers would say the district goes from here to here to here to here?
Yes, sir?
Oh, okay.
Is the district defined by just where the new road would be built, or it can expand out around?
It can expand out around.
And then the payment would be assessed by the people within that district
Yes.
based on
The-
bordering property,
The board that runs that district, because it won't be this board,
right?
would
It's an
then-
SID.
Effectively, yeah, for this conversation, it's like an SID. That board decides who's gonna get stuck with the bill, quite frankly. That board alone has the power of special assessment. And so if you're looking at Lone Star like we're talking about, and they go 2 sections on either side of that and use all of those property owners, that board decides who amongst those owners in that district gets specially assessed. It's a little more complicated. There are very few little guardrails the statute puts on that. It talks about landowners who get a special benefit out of it. I would assume the case law means people who neighbor that or border that, but that's an assumption because there's no case law on it. And this is a section of Nebraska law that is quite old and, as nearly as I can tell, almost never gets used.
So then the authority that board that would be established through that process hypothetically, they would only have authority over that road and the maintenance
Effectively,
thereof moving forward, correct?
well, they actually make an agreement with the county for the maintenance of it.
Oh, okay.
So the road doesn't leave our ownership, and we still have to maintain it, but they kind of control it. But they're also the ones paying for the repairs and the upgrades to it,
Okay.
if that makes any sense.
Based on how that board
Decides.
decides
Yes.
to divvy up that cost, okay?
Any board that gets created clearly is not gonna have any funding, so they're gonna have to issue bonds to get the money up front. And then to repay the bonds, it's a matter of how they want the special assessments done.
But it's literally over just the road, it's
Yes.
not over any of the planning and zoning, like all that authority still rests with this board,
Correct.
okay?
So when you talk about voting, is it, they have to live within that area, or it's the landowners in that area?
The way the statute reads is the legal voters in the district. And so if an entity
They have
owns
to live
property,
there.
that is not a legal voter.
Okay, they have to live there then.
Vicky's coming.
Well, there's two different, like, for those of you that were around when we established the Morning View Cemetery District, it was a joint thing with Frontier County. It was electors, which was very tricky because electors are eligible to be registered voters, but they don't necessarily have to be registered voters. It has to either be electors or registered voters, depending on what that statute says.
This
'Cause
one says
electors was the cemetery district, so we literally had to go to DMV and try to pull people from, like the DMV people that lived in that area. It was tricky.
This statute reads legal voters,
Legal
Which-
voters.
That would make it much easier.
which I interpret to mean registered voters.
Registered voters that reside within a proposed district.
Well, effectively, yeah, it's the majority of the legal voters in the district.
Okay.
Much more plain.
It's a pretty remote area. Not a lot of people live in very remote.
Well, I guess one thing that brought to, or that sparks my interest about it, having only been involved with it one other time, is the cost issue, because, you know, we know where we're at right now cost-wise.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say we can't take care of the roads we have, but we have a hard time taking care of them, not because of our road department, because of the funding available that we give them, so.
Could you expand upon that road district or assessment that you're alluding to and how that was paid for?
Well, it started out down off of a road off of 23, I thought, or somewhere down there. going about a mile south. I don't know how it ended up, but we started down this process right here and discussing it. To be honest with you, I don't remember what happened after that. That's been 30 years ago.
Would that have been Nelson Road?
I don't know what it was. I have not a clue.
Okay. Okay, well, the reason I brought this up is there's a couple of things. I wanted to let you know that we didn't stick this in a file drawer and forget about it. It's an important issue, needs attention. We've done a fair bit of research and discovery, if that's what you want to call it, as far as some of the items that need to be considered in this case. And we kind of wanted to just get it out so everybody kind of understood some of the challenges we were looking at and some of the thoughts that had gone into this process. So that's why I brought it up.
Good information.
Thank you, Commissioner Woodruff. I too have been part of each one of those meetings. Great conversation with not only the NCORP people, but with the committee of landowners that brought the request to us. For me, I definitely recognize that a road there would benefit farm to market, future development. First responders. The list goes on and on of all of the benefit that a road would generate for that area. Shorter routes to school, better route to get to work for a lot of people. But as Commissioner Woodruff and Commissioner Hughley, I think all of us that sit around this table, how it's going to be paid for is a very, very important part of the conversation. And since that conversation started, there's been an explosion of conversations in this area. And so the meeting tomorrow is also going to play a part in where this might go. So, but.
And if I might add, there's been quite a little bit of discussion in this regard. Don't overlook the fact that Jason Schultz and Brian Gloss have been involved in this very heavily,
Yes.
as well as Deputy County Attorney Tyler Volkmer. All of those folks have had some great input and helped me understand a lot of the things that we're tasked with as far as uncovering and exposing all the questions that need to be answered here.
Very good. So thanks for the update, Commissioner Woodruff. It was good information. I think it's important that everybody be part of the conversation and understand kind of where we're at. It's not going to be a short conversation, but I'm glad that we've kept the ball rolling and the open lines of communication, and we will continue on that path and see where this goes. So does anybody have any other committee reports that? I did attend the board chair conference in Kearney on Friday. One of our agenda items today was a big part of the presentations that was done. So as you all know, the BEAD project, the broadband project, Nebraska was allocated $405 million for bringing high-speed, reliable internet. The goal is every address in the state of Nebraska will be served one way or the other. So the department head, which is Patrick Haggerty, I've been in many meetings with him in the last 3 years on this topic. The BEAD office has done a great deal of work and made huge gains in opening the office, setting goals and standards. They have a plan in place. NACO has also been, Candace Meredith has been on the front lines and participated on every level of developing a plan for us. They did open the portal for applications. This is just for providers that are interested in filing, but they have to be approved as a provider before they can move forward with any project design plans, requests for funding, all of that. So it'll be it's already been a long project. I think, Becky, you've been in on a lot of the emails that have circulated around. So we're gonna need, our roads department will be heavily involved with the right-of-way and the installing. We have done a lot of updates on our permitting, which I think puts us in a good position already. NACO is sending out a toolkit for us all to use, and it might be a good time to make sure that our standards are at least up, if not better than what their recommendation is going to be. And so I've brought Tyler into the conversation. I did not realize that our legal advisors were not also receiving all of the emails and information that the rest of us have been getting. So we will have a presentation next week by one of the local providers that will be requesting a letter of support. We have a lot to learn about this, and I'm excited for the opportunity for more people in Lincoln County to be connected. Tammy did bring up a map that was provided to us. Each of those, that's just Lincoln County right there on that map. And each one of those little dots represents an address that is either unserved or underserved by the definition of the BEAD office's determination on what qualifies as high-speed reliable internet. But Patrick did a great presentation. He is confident that they're doing the right work at the right levels to make this a good project for all of Nebraska. And he feels like they can keep it within budget and potentially even under budget. So we have a lot to learn about it. We're going to be involved. I may even recommend an ad hoc committee to get together and learn more and help us manage this in a way that is beneficial to Lincoln County. So that's my update. Go ahead.
Commissioner Bruns, did we not use that toolkit when we put in our regulations for depth and stuff we looked at a year and a half ago? Or?
We looked at resources that NACO did have. I don't know if it's necessarily this exact toolkit. I need to verify that. So I don't know that I can answer your question 100%.
I think it was. I think it did come from that study. And toolkit may not be the right word, but at least the information they had, right?
I think we're sitting in a really good spot with the changes that we made for our right-of-way. I really hope that the mapping feature is coming along, because we do need to make sure that we're capturing any new fiber that's getting laid, that we're capturing and knowing exactly where it is. So.
At the meeting, Joe, to speak to the toolkit at the meeting last week, it is still a work in progress. It may very well be the one that was rolled out several years ago, but they keep improving it as they have learned through some previous projects. So it's their interest. One of the things that both the planning and zoning presentation and the BEAD office presentation and then NACO's input was, in the past, sometimes when federal funds are made available, lots of people show up wanting a piece of that. And so the money is allocated, the project is completed, they all leave the county, And there has been maybe part of the project not managed real well, and the burden falls to the county taxpayer to stand the expense of fixing whatever issue has been left in our right-of-way. So it's everybody's interest at the meetings I attended to put a plan in place to protect us against that very thing. I feel like using local providers will help us greatly. And so we will be getting requests for presentations and letters of support, and we'll just, it's only the participant application window that is currently open. I believe Patrick said the next step will be actual project applications. So that's where we're at with that. So Pinpoint will be back on the agenda next week, Becky? And you'll, at the same time? Okay. Okay, very good. All right, very good. That's all I have. Does anybody else have anything for the good of the county? Meeting adjourned.